of why I don't go ding-dong ditching anymore, and no, this is not my story. So one day, me and my friends were going ding-dong ditching in the neighborhood, and there has always been this one house that no one went up to. It wasn't abandoned, but it looked abandoned because it was really creepy. But so me and my friends were ding-dong ditching, and we went up to the house, and my friend rang the doorbell while me and my other friend were hiding behind the bushes. And so no one answered, so my friend rang the doorbell again, and the door slightly opened, but no one came out. So we rang the doorbell one more time, and my friend was waiting by the door because he forgot to run to the bush, and an arm came out of the door and grabbed him, for part 2 because it gets really scary.
This is a story of the time that I caught my neighbor's mom talking smack about me. So I don't know about you guys, but every single Wednesday in my middle school, we would have a bagel sale. And some people's parents would come in to help out. And my neighbor's mom was one of those parents. And I had a best friend at the time whose mom would also work at the bagel sales. But this best friend of mine, her mom never let us hang out with each other because she felt that I was a bad influence on her. When in reality, it was the complete opposite. She was the one that snuck the boys in her house, if you guys remember that story time, where they peed in a flower pot. So basically her mom wouldn't let us hang out. And sometimes my friend would go with her mom in the morning, basically as a ride to school, and to help out with the bagels too. And one day when she went in with her mom, my neighbor's mom also was there too. So my friend starts eavesdropping into their conversation, and my friend's mom brings me up and says how much of a bad kid I am and a bad influence. And my neighbor's mom was like, "Oh wow, that's my neighbor, we always suspected something bad about her, our whole entire neighborhood knows this about her," basically making stuff up about me. So then I go home crying, tell my mom.
He pooped in her bed? Story time. So I have this friend, and we're gonna name her Casey. But one day I was at Casey's house with her and her boyfriend. And we were just kind of hanging out and chilling in her room, right? Well, her boyfriend was laying in her bed, and oh my god, he kept farting the entire time. And it smelled so bad, like rotten eggs and belly button juice. It was disgusting. So I look at him and I'm like, "Are you okay?" And her boyfriend was like, "Nah, my stomach really hurts, I'm real gassy." And then Casey was like, "Well, go to the bathroom because it's nasty." And then her boyfriend was like, "I'm fine now, I let all the gas out, I promise I won't fart again." And then Casey was like, "If you fart again in my bed, I'm punching you in the stomach." So then a couple minutes go by and we think we're in the clear, but then he toots again. So then Casey gets up, walks over to her boyfriend, she punches him in the stomach, and he lets out the loudest fart I've ever heard in my life. And his face was like, "Uh-oh." And we were like, "What?" He got up and we saw poop on.
So I always tend to try to be a nice person. So when my sister called me up crying, saying that she didn't have a place to go, I said, "Okay, sure, I'll ask my dad. You can come spend the time with us." She said, "Cool, thanks." So my parents are divorced, so she's my stepsister. My dad has absolutely no relation to her in the slightest, but him being a nice person also said, "Don't worry about it. You can come spend, the night with us, so she can find a place to live." That one night ended up turning into 3 months. So we ended up giving her a very good amount of warning. We ended up telling her when we realized this was going to be a more long-term thing, we ended up saying, "Hey, you can stay with us, but once it comes to September 1st, you gotta go." She didn't get that memo. So.
Story time about how I got catfished by my best friend. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. My now ex-best friend and I hung out almost every single day. We were super close. Let's call her Natalie. Natalie and I would sometimes get into drama, and her mom didn't like this. She considered me a bad influence on Natalie. But honestly, the drama was coming from both sides. Natalie and I had a group chat with one other person. One day, Natalie sends me a message through the group chat saying that she couldn't be my best friend anymore and that she's really sorry. She really didn't explain why, though. I was crushed. She had been my best friend for so long. 3 weeks ago, I noticed that someone added me on Snapchat by search. I didn't really think too much about it. I added them back and we started having a conversation. She was a young girl my age and we started having conversations about boys we had crushes on, school, and lots of other things. I asked her to send me a picture of herself and she said she couldn't. That should have been the first red flag. Then we decided to meet up at the mall. I wait for her at the mall, but she never shows up. Part 2 is up.
Part 1 of how I stole my boyfriend's side chick. My boyfriend Zach and I decided to check out a new restaurant in town for date night. We got in his car and started to head out. He usually has better cell coverage than me, so we were using the navigation on his phone to get to the new spot. I noticed his buddy from work, Matt, was texting him as usual. However, this time I noticed the heart emojis out of the corner of my eye at the top of the screen from Matt, which I thought was weird. I started to think about it, and Matt would always text pretty late at night, and my boyfriend always seemed really happy when texting him. I played it off like I was going to look for a faster route, picked up his phone, and quickly copied down the number. When we got to the restaurant, I started paying attention and noticed Zach texting throughout.